Over the years, Steam has changed their content guidelines, and they've gotten so strict about what can and can't be on their platform that many developers end up needing to censor their games, or else there's no way for them to sell titles on the platform. And some developers do stick to their guns and cancel the Steam releases of games entirely, but others always get so worried about not making money that they give in to censorship demands, and that is what's happening with yet another game that people were really looking forward to. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So this is a Noisy Pixel article. It does bring up the newest situation involving Steam censorship. It says Mary Skelter 2 on PC to remove Purge minigame that is actually present in the Switch version. The team has confirmed that due to circumstances outside of their control, they had to remove the Purge corruption minigame. While this minigame is present in the Switch version of the title, Steam players won't be able to interact with it. Basically, it skips the minigame entirely, but Jack will pay the same amount of mental state and players will successfully complete the minigame when selected. This is a giant problem for anyone that wants to purchase this game because it's not just an outfit being censored, it's not just dialogue slightly being changed, and obviously if those things were happening they're not okay because there's still censorship, but they are completely removing minigames from this title, complete pieces of content, because a platform doesn't want them in the game. So Mary Skelter 2 was initially released on PlayStation 4 in Japan as a sequel to the 2017 game, Mary Skelter on PlayStation Vita, and number 2 continues the adventure of the series as Jack as he deals with becoming a nightmare, which opens the door for a new battle system. So it does seem like they added a bunch of new things to this game. It seems like there's a new battle system, it's longer than previous games, there's tons of new content, which people should be excited for, but unfortunately if you're someone who typically buys these games on Steam, I would definitely pass on this copy. Now, I say it all of the time, but Steam over the years has gotten really inconsistent with their bans and restrictions, and what's worse is that they used to be a good platform, and they do still allow lots of types of games. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're completely terrible, but it's like they're targeting specific genres because they simply don't like them. And look at this game, it's one that is on multiple platforms, and Nintendo didn't censor it, which of course, if this was years ago, it would be a very different situation. Nintendo wanted to be a very family-friendly platform and would usually ban content like this, and Sony and Steam would allow it on their platforms. I also had talked about this game a while back, but it has faced tons of problems, unfortunately. At Sony's request, the localizers had to remove the same minigame from the PlayStation 4 release, and it was banned in Australia. Unfortunately, developers like this never really stand up for their products, though, which is a giant problem. So like I mentioned, this game was also banned in Australia. It says Idea Factory International have confirmed that Mary Skelter 2 has been banned for sale in Australia. This news comes via Twitter as one user asked the company that since the game was not getting a Steam release, would it still be sold in Australia and New Zealand? And obviously, this has changed. This article did come out in 2019, but I mean, the game is still banned in Australia. They had said, "Hi there, unfortunately we cannot release in Australia because the age rating was not accepted." While the game's prequel, Mary Skelter Nightmare, was rated R18+, it seems something in Mary Skelter 2 has run afoul of the Australian censors. Other games to recently get banned in Australia include We Happy Few for the second time and Kingdom Come Deliverance, despite initially having an rating of R18+, and then back in July of 2018, the Australian senator and leader of the Australian Liberal Democrats proposed a bill to the Australian government to prevent video games from being banned in the region. Unfortunately, Australia is pretty well known for banning tons of video games. They do not allow drug use, they don't allow a lot of different forms of violence. They are very, very censorship heavy. I completely understand that at the end of the day, they're a company and they want to make as much money as possible, and getting your game on a platform like Steam is going to get a lot more eyes on it. It makes me lose respect for the developers, the companies, anyone that's behind the project. Over the years, I've talked about tons of different censorship and unfair banning that Steam has done with titles, Rewrite Plus, Super Seducer 3, Immalicious, and I don't think that this is going to change anytime soon, but I still think that it's extremely important to talk about. I wanted to head on over to the Steam community thread for this game because a lot of people are saying that they are extremely upset, that they're really pissed off at the developers and Steam, of course. People are saying things like, "Thank you for helping me decide to not even bother wanting to buy this game." Someone said, "Thanks for the info, and everyone who else doesn't care about it, have fun with the game. I will go and buy the Switch version because this statement is nothing more than an excuse for their own decision." Someone does bring up a really good point, saying there's far too many porn games on the platform to suggest that the censorship was due to lewd content alone, so I'm going to assume that the removal is due to Steam having a policy against the sexualization of characters that appear to be minors or are wearing clothing associated with minors. And it's true. Look at all of the visual novels that have been censored and banned simply because they might be in a school setting. Even if they're supposed to be in college, it doesn't matter. They look like they could be too young, so they end up banning games, forcing censorship upon games just because they're wearing outfits, like school outfits, or, like it says, the characters look slightly too young. A lot of people are saying things like if they're not going to port all of the content, they shouldn't port any of it. And honestly, I kind of agree. I shouldn't have to worry about, oh, is this game censored? Was anything removed that the developers aren't telling us? I don't think that people should have to deal with that. You should either port all of the content to a platform or you should port none of it. And as a developer, I would think that I would want to stand by my product and say, if you're not allowing this minigame, you don't get my game at all whatsoever. I think that they are losing a lot of respect by not pulling it off of Steam and not continuing to go forward with the Steam release. And I'm going to be honest, I think they would have gained a lot more sales if they stuck to their guns and defended their product and said, it's not going on Steam because they're forcing us to censor it. But that's all that I really had to talk about in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.